Transition is a process or period of changing from one state or condition to another. Okay, so God has been giving me this word transition for a while now, and basically what he's saying is many of his children are transitioning. Okay, many of his children are transitioning. Okay, but I want to talk about the different types of transition. Okay, for example, you can have a car, old car, we're going to call that old car. You could take old car and take it to a dealership, right? And leave with a new car. That's a transition that is like from old to new, all right? And some of you guys may have had examples of this in your own life where you go from old to new. But what happens when you go from old, gap, new? Okay, and so this is what we're going to talk about: the old, and then there's this gap area. This I'm calling it a gap, this middle area, and then to the new, right? And sometimes if you're not careful, you would think that this gap area is like nothing is happening, and you're like, oh my gosh, did I make the right decision? Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Don't freak out, okay? You made the right decision. You're hearing from God. You know what to do, right? Let me give you another example. You're building a house, right? And they said that the house should be done in November, right? You are currently living in your old house right now. You decide to put your old house on the market. It got sold. You got an offer immediately, right? And then this person is like, I would like to move in May, and you're like, no, and they're like, please, I have kids, blah blah blah, can we move in to May? Can we move in May? So then you go with this buyer, you sold your house, okay? So from May to November, is that what I said? To November, you don't have a home. You are homeless. Okay, what do you do? So this is the gap that I'm talking about. What do you do? For some people, you gotta have to find a short-term rental, all right? Or you have to sleep on somebody's couch, or maybe it's a hotel or motel or an inn that you're gonna live in for months, all right? A tent, a camper, RV. You gotta figure it out, right? And sometimes in that middle period, in that gap period, it's not comfortable. It's not comfortable at all. You're not looking the way you used to look, okay? You're not feeling the way you used to feel. Maybe all your stuff, because you moved, you're transitioning, all your stuff is in boxes. All your stuff is in storage. You don't have your stuff, you're living in a suitcase, okay? It's just not as comfortable as it was, right? Because transition, you are changing from one state to the other. Sometimes it doesn't feel the same way. Sometimes it's scarier. Sometimes it almost make you want to go back to the old, just like the Israelites. Even though they were in bondage, even though they were in slavery, even though they were being used and abused, they still almost felt like the old was better than the transition period that they were going through. They weren't even focused on the promised land. They weren't even focused on the new beginning. All they were focusing on is what they felt like they were missing from the old life, okay? And sometimes if we're not careful, we can think, oh, well, the old wasn't so bad, okay? God could have told you to leave a relationship, okay? And this person, even though they used and abused you in all the areas, they probably paid your bills. And now that you've left this relationship, you're not getting used and abused, which is great, but you also don't know how your bill is going to pay, how your bills are going to pay. And this is where you got to trust in the Lord. And sometimes you may look back and be like, was he so bad though? Was she so bad? Like, was the abuse? I know. Was it really that painful? Was it really that bad? Okay, and sometimes it could make you want to go back. And God is saying, stay the course. You're just transitioning. In this transition phase, it's not going to be comfortable. It's not going to be easy necessarily, okay? But you are headed to a new beginning. You're headed to greatness. You're headed to change. change doesn't always feel good. I'm sorry, change usually don't feel good. But you're getting to a new place that is going to feel good. You just have to stay the course. All right. So yeah. So you guys are transitioning. You're transitioning. Don't panic. Don't think that God is not with you because he's not speaking necessarily. He is with you. He is just behind the scenes working. He's working it out, but just stay the course. If he told you to close the door, if he told you to get rid of an old car, and you're like, well, where's the replacement? You told me to get rid of the old, but there's no replacement. The replacement is coming. You're just going through this gap area. You're going through this period of lack, if you may. The Israelites, when they left Egypt, when they were in Egypt, they had leeks and garlic and onions and all the things that they felt like they were missing. And they had meat, okay? During their transition phase, they didn't have meat. But God provided them with food, manna. He provided them with manna. But they were looking at their old and they're like, well, we used to have meat. Okay. Sometimes when you're transitioning, you don't have what you used to have in the old. Just for a period. It is not going to last forever. It was just for a short while. And then what happened? God gave them quail. Right? So just know that period from the old to the new, that gap period is short. It is a short period. Stay the course because you will transition to your new very soon, very quickly. If not, I know for many of you guys, you've already transitioned. So I'm talking to a few people. Okay. Who this message is for, you'll know. All right, but stay the course. It's not always going to feel comfortable, like I mentioned, but that's part of change from one state to the other, one condition to the other. All right. So, God was showing me Noah again. When he's talking about new beginning, Noah is what comes up. Okay, the ark was the gap from the old to the new. The ark was that period of transition. The ark wasn't their home. The ark wasn't the new beginning. The ark was the vessel, if you may, taking them to the new beginning. And I don't know, were they comfortable on the ark? Like, it's a boat. It's rocky. Like, seasickness. I don't know. With animals, I don't know how well they enjoyed that. Okay. But it was the ark that was going to get them to where they need to go. All right. So, anyways, guys, I hope this message was able to bless you, give you some insights to what's happening. Okay. But stay the course. Continue to stay close to God. Continue to trust in him. Continue to trust that he's working it out. He's working it out for you, friend. All right, guys. Take care.